Good morning, everyone. My name is Alberto. I flew all the way from Texas to be here for 15 minutes to talk about Carpaccio. So let's talk a little bit about why it's important to measure productivity. We have like teams building digital software, and we have the board, we have investors asking us all the time, or quarterly at least, what our engineers are doing. And we need to invest in value stream A, B, or C, or product line, regardless of how your company calls that. We need to understand the productivity and how much that's doing. And building software is not like manufacturing. We're building like an abstract product. And that makes measuring productivity really, really hard. Back in the day, lines of code. More recently, during the pandemic, hours sitting behind a desk, maybe. And then we have like all the productivity metrics from code activities to PR throughput or some sort of throughput, all those things. And one of my favorites is the DORA metrics, also really famous these days, and companies and teams are using. Here's the challenge. I'm not sure about you, but I couldn't never tell the whole story, like why my teams are moving slow, can you do more, and all that kind of stuff. So then I came up with this Carpaccio methodology over the past several years, researching and applying to companies. So how do we know that each person is giving the best version of themselves in the team? How do we know that the teams are collaborating in the maximum that they can actually provide? How do we know that? If none of those metrics that are there tell the full story, why to use this Carpaccio methodology? And where is this name even coming from? Like, it's just before lunch we were talking about Carpaccio, maybe making you feel a little hungry. But the Carpaccio methodology, it came from back in the day, the Agile methodology, from the Agile movement, the elephant Carpaccio. We slice you got a big problem, and you slice that in vertical slices. That must be delightful to users. Anyone remember that? Yep. So back when I wrote my book, I thought that fascinating because it's always like a big problem, and if we slice that, and how do we slice that vertically? There's many other metaphors that talk about that, the cupcake, like the scooter all the way to the airplane and all that kind of stuff to kind of visualize the complexity of software. The Carpaccio methodology made me like the whole idea of like the elephant Carpaccio made me think, all right, if we can actually get consistency while we're developing across all the development teams, let's say that we get like all the Carpaccio, if it's too thick, maybe, not delightful. If it's too thin, maybe it breaks down. So there's something there that I said, that's interesting. Is it possible to make engineers to work consistently across multiple teams in a way? It's not uncommon to go to development teams and they track their work in so many different ways. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 different ticket systems as an example. What one team, what one developer does is all different. There's no pattern, no standard. So one of the first things that the Carpaccio methodology talks about is have like one single source of truth for all the work that the engineer is going to be doing. So if you have, like, for instance, a product roadmap and a technology roadmap, that becomes challenging. You have to have one single source of truth and have all the work sliced in the same shape and form. So, but then, if we go back to the existing metrics, there's like an obsession to actually figure out what goes in the code. But how about all the other work invisible that engineers do? Because you have to upgrade your libraries, you have to upgrade your frameworks, you have to write documentation, and yes, you also have to write code. So a Carpaccio is just the code, like DORA metrics, for instance, one of the metrics is like deployment frequency, which I like, which is like how frequent we actually pushing code to production. But then how about that other time that is happening for building the software? That there's a cost, because time is money, that's what we say in America, and that takes time, and most of the time is not measured. So one of the key fundamentals of like the Carpaccio methodology is one ticket system for everything that all your engineering teams do. That's it. If you like Jira, if you like Trello, if you like ADO, whatever technology you're using, have one. Each ticket has to have like a defined cycle time, regardless of the task. So think about the ticket as a Carpaccio as a ticket, and think about all the work that engineers do are valuable. So I'm writing a documentation, that's a ticket. It can take, in my teams, I found like the sweet spot between 2 and 5 days. But Alberto, it's going to take like 10 days. Break it down. Slice it further. So with time, throughout a quarter, you can normalize that curve. And then you can start actually figuring out like work that actually end up being code in production and some of the work that will not be in production. I typically use only 3 types. What's a task, stories, and bugs. That's it. You don't need more than 3. If you have like 10, rethink. All you need is 3. Stories can go to production. Bugs can go to production. Tasks cannot go to production. What is a task? You can define that. There's many tasks that you actually can see in your work environment. For me, one of the most important things is that engineers can write plain English. So writing documentation is super important. If you come up with a new framework or a new architecture, that needs to be written down. If it's not written down, it just doesn't exist. So that's a task, and you need to value that work. That may take 3 days, 2 days. Give the time for people to do that. Bugs, I don't need to explain. Like if you rush too much actually doing whatever you need to do, that's going to become like an interrupt, and that comes. And the stories. So here's the thing. If we try to compare the Carpaccio methodology, okay, Alberto, all you're trying to say is that the Carpaccio methodology is a methodology where you get like a ticket system that has one single suffer through, and all the work happens in 2 to 5 days. Fundamentally, yes. But let's look at like how it compares with current metrics. It's no different. Like I'm not saying that the Carpaccio must replace the metrics that you are currently using. What I'm saying is that the Carpaccio will give you like a full story of all the invisible work that's currently happening in your teams, and you don't have the visibility that you want. So if we look here, I just actually put the theme of Carpaccio and everything, but it's Carpaccio frequency, deployment frequency. Carpaccio lead time, as the industry says. I'm just actually putting the theme. The only 2 new metrics here, it's called Carpaccio served and Carpaccio production. So, all right, if you look at the bottom here, I actually came up with what's called like the productivity ratio. It's all the Carpaccio that actually gets served, meaning gets deployed to production, to users, divided by everything that the team has produced. When you divide one by another, you have a percentage. So you know that the percentage of all those tickets that each one of your engineers worked, you know like the percentage that actually reached out to production, and the percent that was, that were like things related to documentation or running a spike or investigation and things like that. if we scan these things here, it's going to go like to the full article that actually has the whole research and there. So here's what I learned over the years, is that if 100% of everything that engineers work go to production, that's an utopia. It doesn't exist. There's like a lot more work that engineers need to do. If that number goes all the way to the other extreme, like 40, 50, 60%, here's the challenge. Your team is doing way too many meetings, is doing a lot of stuff, but is not actually delivering code to production. Is not getting enough code to production. In my teams and the companies that I give consulting and I actually implement this methodology, any number between 70, 75 to 9% is the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot where the engineering teams have enough time to investigate the intent of a current functionality, where they can do knowledge sharing, where they can write things down, all that invisible work that doesn't require code change. So now, to make this formula super simple here, you get all these stories plus all the bugs. Those are the two that can actually go to production. You divide it by story, bugs, and all the tasks that, again, have a cycle time between 2 and 5 days. That will give you like the productivity ratio. So, all right, Alberto, I get it, but I've been there, and engineers here, they're smart people. Here's what they will do. They will create tickets for everything. That's true. That's true. They are very smart. They can actually go, there's no bulletproof system, and that can happen. So then, here's what I, over the years, improved the methodology. I said, all right, I will connect individual performance to Carpaccio production, and I will try to create, like, this is a very simple 1 to 5 method, but if you connect company values, business goals, and functional responsibilities, combine the three of those, then this Carpaccio methodology start to get like a little bit more interesting. So I call like the measure accountabilities from the Scale Up book. That's where I got that from. But if I get business metrics 15% off like the performance review, the Carpaccio products, we need to propeller the boat forward. That's how much we actually produce. That is 40%. And these numbers can vary company to company, quarter to quarter. But you put different weights and business metric, Carpaccio products, platform stability, initiative completion, you put those things that also flexible. There's like other options there. I actually have like a calculator and things that you can play with. But all of that will give a number. And that number, you'll see if I hit that number, I'm exceeding. If I'm not hitting, I'm meeting and underperformance and all that kind of stuff. Typical HR scale 1 to 5. But if you can get this previous metrics here and see where that will fit, people are just not willing to actually cut Carpaccios for the sake of it. Because I can do more tickets, but that will be accounting only for 40% of my performance review. Myself as a developer, I'm also caring about the business metrics, the values, and things like that. So whatever methodology you have to measure productivity, if you're not connecting that productivity with business goals and you're not you're missing the opportunity there, and that's what the Carpaccio methodology is trying to go. This is an in-progress methodology. I'm on Amazon, I'm on LinkedIn. If you have further questions or you would like to contribute to the methodology, if you like to help in any shape or form, just find me anywhere here. Thank you all.